I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Hope everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, just let me know. This is an impromptu hour. We call it the Krankie hour. And I'm extremely cranky. I'm extremely cranky. That's why I'm on tonight. Extremely cranky. See, my phone is buzzing off the hook for some reason. Bless up Jason, bless up Triamoon, bless up Richie. Hey, guys, give me 1 second because my tenant here is ringing off my phone for some reason. Just give me 1 second. Trevor, me 1 second, guys. I apologize for that interruption. But I am very cranky tonight. That's what I'm on. And I want to say this. The views expressed tonight are the views of Krankie. And I've got rid of the stand, by the way. It's not the views of I Am Sure Sport. It's not the view of Manningsman. It's not the view of Omar Stennett. It's Krankie's view. And I'm extremely cranky because I'm going to tell you why. I don't watch a lot of movies, I'll be frank. I used to be like that, but I've sort of cut back on my movie watching. I don't watch a ton of other sports. I used to be an NFL junkie, basketball junkie. My New York teams haven't done well. So I don't really watch a ton of that either. I don't watch women's football, except when Jamaica plays. I actually don't. And I watch the World Cup, but that was it. I don't watch WSL football except when Bunny Shaw plays. You can see the theme right there, right? As to who I watch. I don't watch a lot of, I don't watch JPL football, I must be honest, because I get bored after like 30 minutes. Because the quality to me is not what it's supposed to be. I watch a lot of Premier League football because I thoroughly enjoy it and I'm addicted to it. So I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't party anymore because I didn't want to be the old man in the club in a red jacket. Give that up a long time. So my fun is basically watching football. And even last night, I watched the girls' game in its entirety. And the quality wasn't good. I'll be honest. I'll be honest tonight. I don't know, euphemism. I'm not being mild. This is not about beating me in a beating business. But I'm going to be hypocritical tonight in a number of respect. and I'll point them out where I'm being hypocritical. I also tell people, I tell my staff, I tell my family, don't get angry about, if you're angry, you're not in control. In any situation you're in, that's why people get road rage and they commit situations or they do things which they regret later, or somebody step on your toe in that club and you do something you regret later. So 2 seconds, you destroy your entire life. I try not to be in those situations, but it doesn't mean I'm not human and I don't get upset, right? So I try not to be. And I always tell my staff, if you're in a negotiation or in an environment and you get upset, then you're never in control of the conversation. If you're calm, collective, and you can think deductively, you can think critically, you can assess things, then you're in a good slate. But I'm going to be hypocritical tonight because I'm not thinking that way. I'm vexed big time. I'm vexed. I'm run them out. I'm talking about the hour. And I came home tonight not to be online, actually, because I just bought a new MacBook Pro and I was getting excited to come home and set it up, the new M3 Pro them. Because I have one in front of me, but the battery hack up sometimes, I change it. So I come tonight excited enough. And while I was coming on the bus, I started getting more and more vexed, thinking about the game last night, thinking about no Gold Cup for the girls next year, and thinking how asinine this is that we're in this situation. So here's my ranting now. I don't understand why we're here. Seriously. It doesn't make any sense to me. We have grown-ups on both sides. Most of the girls are probably younger than the supposed adults, but all of them are infantile and all of them are kids. All of them. The girls, the JFF, all kids. They're acting like children. And you can't have respect for children when they're supposed to be adults and supposed to be act like grown-ups. They're both sides acting like kids. And it's frustrating to me. Now, when I had a conversation with Dennis the other day, what was very apparent to me, and look, I appreciate Dennis coming on. First of all, I appreciate the JFF taking the opportunity to communicate as much as possible with the media, especially with YouTube. I think YouTube probably get more time than the traditional media, and rightly so, because traditional media have a bunch of different conflicts in terms of their programming, advertising, who they have to satisfy, what the audience require. So I want to have a conversation with you tonight, the audience, because I think it's important, because I think the most affected parties in this are the fans who love the sport, right? I see Brain Drain as usual. Brain Drain, thanks for giving Man the $5. We appreciate it. All right, Manny's man appreciate it. And he said, change your mind, bring back Bunny. But we'll get to all of that, Brian. But my frustration is around, I am flabbergasted that grown-ups can't resolve their problems. And I am upset that the fans have to pay for the infantile behavior of both sides, especially the JFF. Why especially the JFF? Because they are the administrators. They're supposed to be the bigger people in the conversation. They're supposed to be leaders. They're leading the national football program for Jamaica. I don't think they understand what their role is. I don't think they understand their obligations. I think they're in their feelings. And here's what I think. And I know I'm going to rough some feathers really bad tonight, but frankly, me not care. So I'm coming, I'm vexed. I'm vexed with all of my mind. And I try to manage what I say in a lot of instances in public forum, especially because it always come back to bite you at some point, right? But the world it's a very small world, and you should always be careful about what you say. So I'm gonna use the right language, and I don't believe in beating, by the way, because if you don't want to get beat, you shouldn't beat. But I am so upset about the lack of professionalism on both sides. It's galling. What's more galling on the JFF side? Why do I say that? So we had a conversation with Dennis. I'm gonna say to Dennis, look, Dennis, you can find a way to communicate with the girls in some way, shape, or form. Emails are an impersonal way of communicating. And if you're an adult like Dennis, who's probably over 40, over 50 years old, when you were growing up, you didn't have emails. You pick up the phone and call somebody. In fact, in some places in Jamaica, you didn't have a phone. You're going to drive to meet them and talk to them. The personal connection and conversation is always important when you engage people. You want to look people in the eye, you want to see the expressions are, and you want to be able to gauge nonverbal communication as much as you gain the verbal communication or you assess the verbal communication. And I'm going to touch upon a lot of your comments tonight. I'm going to have my little soliloquy first, then I talk to your comments. Because some of you you just make me perturbed. I don't want to call them a dunce, but some of them are just dunce. I mean, when people say you're arrogant, cranky, you can't call people dunce, but I'm going to walk you through some of the reasoning why you're dunce. First of all, when you make statements sometimes, unless you qualify the statement, that means you must have evidence for what you're saying. If you're going to present something as fact, then please have that's why I'm going to call people liar to them. Because I try not to, because I must have the facts to make such a statement. I must have empirical evidence that cannot be challenged to clearly call something a fact and communicate to the audience as a fact. It can't be fact if you don't have the evidence. I'm sorry, it just can't be. And most of us are not privy to a lot of evidence. So here's my conjectures, and here's some of the things that I noticed in my conversation with Dennis. And Dennis may not like this, but Dennis may not really care enough. I don't think the guys wanted to reconvene with the girls. And Dennis spent a lot of time focused on the ladies who were playing against Guatemala. Because if they won, JFF is in a stronger position. And they can justify their actions. And that's not cool, from where I sit. Because we want the best product on the field. Not a substandard product. And I'm not calling the girls substandard, because they tried hard, and I gave them credit yesterday. But they don't have the requisite quality. They couldn't put 5 passes together. And people get upset if you talk about the girls in a certain way because they're women you can't talk about. I'm going to talk about the quality of the product on the field. The players we had on the field, there were some good players. I'm going to call any names, but for example, Groves showed certain skill set, which should be transitioned to and people say you should call them first team, so whatever team we come up with later. But most of the women in the World Cup would have been in this team that played Guatemala. And they would have qualified without a doubt in my mind. And Dennis keep pushing this narrative about we have all this quality and Bucky says you're going to score 2 goals and all this other stuff. That's not football conversation, Dennis. I know you want to motivate the girls. They want them to do well. We all want them to do well. I watched the entire game last night. I don't watch those kind of games. I ain't got time for that. Especially when I can't see 5 passes string together. But at the same time, we didn't put our best product on the field. We're the best team in the Caribbean, better than a very good Haiti team. We will not be at the Gold Cup next year. Do people understand that? Because of people getting to their feelings, we won't be in the World Cup. Their little feelings got hurt. Somebody got kicked off the bus. Somebody may push back so they want to have their own coach. They push the JFF to have their own coach. Okay, so, get over your feelings. It's done. And the girls, get over your feelings. You're not the boss for the team. You don't run the team. You can't pick the coach. And if I was in a position, I wouldn't have given you a coach. Now, if Lon is the best person for the job, I give Lon the job. But I wouldn't acquiesce to your desires or your needs or your wants because you're not running the program. You get with the program. You don't run the program. And I know the JFF has been what I call inept and incompetent. And I stand by those comments because actions speak louder than words. And they've been showing their incompetence on a continual basis. And it's beyond frustrating. And the problem is? We as fans have no influence. We could talk till the cows come home. We cannot change that. So you know what? You either can change it, and if you can't, you stop watching football. And if you want to watch a football, you get with the program. You have no choice. You love the country. You love what the country does. You're a nationalist. You're a patriot. You want the country to do well. But it's getting to be beyond frustrating that 2 bodies that Dennis is telling me he sent an email. Dennis, did you hear yourself? You sent an email, or you have Fifth Pro as your communication mode. And you're going to talk me through some corporate gobblage about, oh, well, I don't want to circumvent the process by going over the head of Fifth Pro, so I can't CC the... Do people comprehend that? I can't CC somebody because I'm circumventing somebody. How are you circumventing them if you put the primary person receiving the email as the primary contact and you CC the girls to make sure, you know what, it gets to its destination. And you say you can, because you know what, Dennis, you guys are in your feelings. Here's what my thoughts are. You guys don't want to resolve this. You were hoping the other girls would win. And you can say, you know what, we don't need you all. And in fact, the ones we call back are the ones we choose to call back because then we are in control. We're taking back control. And Speed said, I alluded to that, about this will never happen again, must sit in the coach. But Speed, you know what? You guys select the coach in the first place. You guys acquiesce in the first place. Don't cry spilled milk after it's done. It makes no sense. Where is the compromise? And compromise seems to be a disease in Jamaica. We solve problems with guns. We solve problems with arguments. We solve problems with fighting. People can't talk through their problems. Like, what world do we live in? I am beyond frustrated. So now I can't watch no World Cup girls work. I just get involved with the girls. I never used to watch women's football. I never used to watch the girls that much anyway. And now I can't even watch them. So here's the outcome of this. The JFF lose a minimum of 500K, and they probably don't even sweat as much because they're going to pick up a lot from the boys' team. The girls get to watch the Gold Cup next year like all of us do, like fans, for participating. So we have nobody to cheer for. The girls don't get any match fee next year, no per diem next year, no money from Gold Cup. But they may say, you know what? We get paid late anyway. Some girls who may have gotten a contract out of the Gold Cup next year, getting some visibility, because in the US, they're expanding women's football, won't have that opportunity. So to me, after the girls lose more than the JFF, all they probably lose is money. They have a bad reputation anyway. They ain't going to do anything to their reputation. It can't get any worse. The JFF reputation cannot be any worse. So what do they have to lose? Nothing. And the JFF is a bunch of stubborn old men, because I'm one of the old men too, stubborn old men who don't know how to pivot, change, and be professional. The way they communicate with the girls or don't communicate with the girls is unprofessional. Sorry, I'm giving out no fifth pro nonsense. It's nonsense, Dennis. Not buying the nonsense. I am so perturbed. You know what? I'm going to calm down. Let me drink some water. I'm getting too upset. That crap about, oh, I'm going to send email to grown-up people who you have a contention with is nonsense, Dennis. There's a phone. People have phones. They call each other. That's why I asked him the question about, do they engage with the girls? Oh, yes, when we went to Austria, we talked to them. I didn't hear him say one time he sit down with one girl. I sat down with Buddy Shaw for 20 minutes. I sat down with Spencer for 15 minutes. I sat down with Spence for 10 minutes. We talked about XY, talked about their family, how they're doing, how is life, what's happening. None of that. In life, people, we build relationships. We make people know that we actually care about them than just the football. They are people. And you may say, why don't the girls do that? Because the onus is always going to be on those in position of authority. When you're a manager, when you're a leader, you think through these things and you help to facilitate that or make it happen or move things forward. And right now, we don't do any of that. I am so beside myself when I finished the concert with Dennis and thought about the conversation as to, you know, the thing about money and plane tickets. You know what I ask myself, people? What are they fighting about? Like, seriously. The girl says we want to make this generational. In terms, we're fighting for something generational. And I sit back saying, okay, I agree that money is important. In fact, money is probably one. I always tell people money is probably the most important thing. People say it's your health. Yeah, but sometimes money can buy your health. Sometimes it can't. Ask Steve Jobs. But money is an imperative that we need to have in life. It buys a lot of things. It buys you going to the doctor. It buys you the fundamental things like clothing. It buys you food. I think it's important. So yes, the money for the girls are important. But it can be money they're fighting about the World Cup because you know what? Here's an example. They came and played. They would have still been in the spotlight. They would still be interviewed. If they weren't getting paid, the JFF would have to answer the question. So I thought the girl got outwitted in this whole thing because I understand they had to go what I call drop the nuclear bomb to probably get attention and get their way. But I think they missed the trick in this whole situation. they missed the trick in this whole situation because they're not playing in the Gold Cup next year. The men's team is playing in Copa America. The men's team is playing Nations League. They themselves have said the JFF didn't care about the women's football, which history has shown that's the case. That's why Sidela got involved. So if that's the case, why would you want to stop the momentum coming after a World Cup to progress your objective versus cutting it all off? Nobody's going to talk about you. You have no competition till 2025. Let me say this, people. There are no competitive matches, is my understanding. I don't have those facts because it can't be, because the Gold Cup is what's next year. They can have friendlies. Who cares? You see, we all going to friendlies. They will have no, and I'll come to the comment section, guys. I'm ranting. Let me just keep on ranting. They will have no competitive games in 2024. They just came off a World Cup in 2023 when they outdid themselves, outperformed, were beyond excellent for us. They lost a difficult game in the quarterfinals. We all have, the world is happy in the last 16, I should say. And then you kill the momentum by what you just decided to do. And you guys in the chat are fans who are on either side. Don't spend time. Sometimes it's so easy to pick a side in life, you know, without getting the totality of the information and the argument. It's easy to pick a side. Really easy. I feel like the girls are right. I don't like the JFF from way back when. They're incompetent. Some pick a side. But even when you have a position that you've taken, you may learn something by listening to the other side or assessing the other side. Or maybe realizing that the decision being made on one side could have been done better. And at this point in time, there are no winners. And if you're in negotiation in life and you have no winners, then how can that be good in any way, shape, or form? Nobody won. The girls haven't won. They think they won. So let's say they resolve this by end of the year, right? Let's say it wasn't a money issue, because then it says they all got paid, and that's being disputed. So they resolve the money issue. What is on the table? Is it the plane fares? Is it the physio? Is it the doctors? What else is on the table? I haven't heard anything material on the table, which is a showstopper. So if you don't have a showstopper, why don't we have something where it's been resolved already? I am actually amazed at this. This is like 5-year-olds fighting over toys, for Christ's sake. And it's beyond my comprehension that we are in this situation. It should not be. And if you beat the JFF, what does it matter beating the JFF? The JFF get beaten 24/7. They have one of the worst reputation in terms of football for a national program. They're supposedly under FIFA restriction for what that is. And we probably need clarity on that, Mr. JFF. You need to come and tell the people why you're under FIFA restriction still for all these years. Is that you're not spending the money the right way? Why you're under restriction? Is that FIFA don't trust you? Explain to the audience why you're under restriction. Well, the JFF can't beat them. They can't get beaten any worse than they are now. And they maybe ducks off of water's back from where, as far as they're concerned. But for the girls and ladies, I hate to tell you this, but you didn't come across well. Bunny Shaw, who came out and said that they had to do GoFundMe to get to Australia, or to get where they are. Let me take that back, get where they are. And then we have these morons, I'm gonna call you morons, like Formula, who get me upset talking about, oh, you know, Krankie, you know what we're talking about, because she never said the World Cup. So the Minister of Sports, the CNN, ABC, ESPN, all these media outlets have people who have no sense. They're all morons. Krankie, we're all idiots. Because the way we interpreted Bunny said was not what she meant to say. Now, Bunny came back spinning this. Like I said, and Bunny's becoming a spin doctor, Bunny. I'm sorry to tell you, he's coming up. And I love your game, by the way. If you played yesterday, you would have destroyed those Guatemalans. But Bunny, stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense, Bunny. We're not buying the nonsense. We're not buying the spin doctor thing. You're not a politician. You meant what you said. I watched the interview with Ian Wright, and I was flabbergasted. I was surprised when you said it. And I was like, wow, the JFF didn't spend the money to take to Australia. I know I'm not that smart, but I ain't that dumb either. That's nonsense you're talking about, spinning what you said on national TV. Just own it up and say, you know what? I made a mistake. That's not what I meant to say. But no, that's what it came across, Bunny. That's what it meant. That's what it came across, as you said. So whether you mentioned or not, that's how it's interpreted. And by the way, Bunny, you didn't come back rightly afterwards and retract that statement. What went viral was what you said, what you meant. And you didn't correct Ian Wright during that conversation, nor you come out right afterwards and corrected it. It's only when Ricardo asked the question that you corrected it. So I'm not buying that nonsense. Maybe you want to have the shock effect, and you did have the shock effect. And the world got the shock effect. And the world viewed Jamaica in a negative light. Whether it's the administration or Jamaica in a whole, it didn't put the country in the best brand. So that's not good on your part, Bunny. And I love, by the way, I love your game. I love your physicality. I love your skill set. I think you're one of the best players in the world. You prove it day in, day out. I even watch you against Man City the other day playing. I don't watch women's football in England. I don't watch WSL. I watch you playing. Because you know what? I watch, people said I beat Bailey. I watch Villa games. If it doesn't conflict with Arsenal game, by the way. I watch Bailey play. I watch Jamaicans play. And in fact, I don't even watch some of the English-based players that much, English-born players that much. I watch Bailey. I must say, which I don't watch the French league, so I don't see Nicholson. But I watch Bunny and I watch Bailey. Not because I don't like the other players, but I want to see how they play and how they perform, because I think it only helps inspire those in Jamaica who have aspirations to play overseas. I don't get this narrative. I don't get this negativity. I don't get the lack of engagement by the JFF with the girls. And then it's, you guys need to grow up. Speed, you need to grow up. You got mad at me on a program talking about you should listen to the Grenadian FA chief. There's a reason why I was saying to go listen to him, because he sounded reasonable. He didn't sound arrogant. He didn't sound like puff his chest out. You know what he did? He talked about his engagement with his players, how he explained to them situation, how he tried to be transparent, how he builds relationship with his players. You guys don't build relationship with your players, at least not the women's team. And the men's team had a problem a few years ago, way before the trip to Austria. So I am just beyond frustrated. And having been somebody who's been working for a long, long time and who have learned over the years that as you get older, you have to try to act your age in a lot of respects. You have to take the wisdom you have learned and apply the wisdom in your real day-to-day life. And you guys are not doing that. I am, and Dennis, you've been in the corporate environment a long time, Dennis. You've been there a long time. You're a well-respected business community in Jamaica. You've been brought over to the JFF to change things. And before you act like the adults in the room and say, you know what, we're going to engage your girls, you keep telling me about some XX email about how you communicate. Like email doesn't go to junk file. Like everybody read their email 24/7. When you can pick up the phone and call them and talk to them and engage them like people, like persons. Now, if you guys are in your feeling about that bus rider lady got kicked off, that was wrong. And I called at that time, I called it out. The girls could not ask Donaldson, and Lon fired himself, by the way. Nobody fired Lon. He didn't renew his contract, but he got fired. He fired himself by not acting like a mediator. He fired himself by not acting like an adult. And Lon went to my alma mater. And I respect Lon as a coach. But Lon doesn't realize that every coach has a shelf life. And when the people who hire you, when you go against them, you ask yourself to be fired. Ask the Jose Marinas of the world. Ask any of the big coaches who go against their owners, and what happens. There's only one winner. It ain't going to be you. So if you didn't want the job, Lauren, because you left the job. And I was perturbed at you because you did a great job in Australia, but you didn't want the job. The day you told that lady to get off the bus, and I watched her on, I think it was TVJ, and she was beside herself. And the worst thing you can do to somebody of Jamaican heritage is disrespect them. Because they ain't going to forgive you. And the girls have not been forgiven by the JFF because they forced them to change the coach. They forced them to get rid of Blaine. They forced the lady off the bus. And they got their way. And the JFF is saying this is not happening again. And that's why they're not communicating. So girls, here's my suggestion to you. Be the adults in the room then. Reach out to the JFF. If you got paid, then come back and tell people you got paid. If there's a mistake made in communication, because Dennis said you were paid. So if you got paid, please let us know if you did. And I'm sure Bunny and Rebecca didn't say they didn't get paid. So they must have gotten paid, right? Probably even gotten, they say some people get overpaid. So I assume that they got overpaid as part of a contingent who got paid. So if you got, and by the way, people, let me repeat this. This is Krankie's hour tonight. This is not Manning's band. This is not I Am Sure Sport. This is not Omar. This is me. I asked him to give me an hour tonight to vent, and he obliged me, so I appreciate it. But he had nothing. He had no idea what I was going to be saying. He didn't influence me, and I'm my own person too. So I take people's advice, but I also make sure I present my perspective on things. And I am beyond frustrated. So let me stop there and take some comments. And don't not try to beat me tonight because I'm in an mood. I tell you the truth. I'm going to get unbeaten. Let me just. I'm going to try to pick up the comments, not the one that favors what I'm saying, by the way. I want to pick up the opposition ones because I have no problem doing that. So S Technic is saying Krankie's water under the bridge. The girls got the call. They didn't show up. S Technic. So let me drink some water before I answer it. S Technic. So let me calm down. This is something I want to say. S Technic in life, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango, S Technic. And if you're the administration and you're not treating people right, then they don't want to engage with you. And in fact, S Technic, remember this S Technic? Dennis said the girls were suspended. Now we caveat that by saying, well, they were suspended so they don't get in trouble with FIFA. I don't think the JFF is trying to protect the girls from anything. So I'm not saying Dennis is lying, but I have a hard feeling digesting that. I don't think they care about no FIFA, no girls. They want to get penalized. So I'm not saying he's lying, but that's my perspective. Okay? My perspective, frankly. Altiman, thanks for the super sticker. Truly appreciate it. And Altiman, how are you doing? It's always good to engage with you, Altiman. I just say, well, you're my favorite footballer. And because you made me look good on the football field, I even appreciate it more. Especially when you get older and look back on your lack of a football career, as I didn't have. Let me just see if any more comments here. This is saying by Warren Webster saying, big up yourself, Krankie, but then people stubborn and awkward than 6-year-olds. This is costing progress. Yes, Warren. And Warren, I'm not sure why the girls couldn't see that. I'm not sure who's advising the girls. But let's paint a scenario, everyone. So the girls come, right? They didn't get their money yet. FIFA knows about this. The world knows about this, frankly. Ian Wright knows about this. So they come and they don't get paid, and they have a forum and multiple windows to express that perspective. Don't you think people would be beyond upset about that? So they're playing, and look, I don't know what else the girls, because Dennis laid out the things that he believed that he said there's not much things out apart from plane ticket and some other insignificant stuff. But the girls must have much more material things if they're going to stay away other than money. Now I know they talk about, Kadisha talked about some per diem have not been paid, some match fees, but I don't know, there must be material because he didn't play that many games to have match fees and per diem that were material. So I'm not sure what that entails. But having said that, they would have been playing, helping their brand while at the same time have a forum to express their concerns, to express their perspective on things, to keep this alive, and to put the JFF in a difficult position. Except what I did was let them out, let them get off scot-free, because right now, to me, the girl look as bad as JFF does. Just a girl with a thought saying, when management speak about him retracting his statement about his signature and back on board with beach football, no, I'm not talking about that tonight. People, I didn't come on to talk about that. I was at work. I saw a little bit of a press conference. That'll be for another day. This is just about, as the title says, it's about the impasse with the JFF and the girls. Those are the things can be discussed at another point in time. And frankly, I'll say something on that, which is, all you guys out there advocating for Raymond and his crew and Cameron and all of them, I didn't put them on ball and roll on the ground, roll on the hill, because all of them are the same. Raymond's been the JFF forever, 30 plus years, 18 as a vice president. Let me say that again. 18 as a vice president. How is he going to be different from what's happening now? How does Raymond absolve himself from what's transpiring with the JFF by saying, I'm just a vice president? I don't want to talk about Raymond, but it doesn't make any sense to me. I never will. They're all the same. Boris is saying the JFF need to develop and implement a solid governance framework or policy that articulates the accountability and transparency expected of the board and officials. Boris, that is really too eloquent for me. because it ain't happening. The JFF love to run the organization like they used to call a party shop, and they have made some improvement, right? I think they have to give credit for hiring the coach. And you hear me talk about the coach that I've seen his strategy. But in international football, to me, the main thing is recruitment. You have the best players, you give yourself the best chance to win. I'm not buying into the whole excellence of coaching when it comes to international football. I can't tell you how many great international coaches I know about. I can tell you about great coaches of teams, of club teams. I can't name any great international coach. Maybe you can name them for me. I don't know any. I've been watching football for a long time. I never heard of this brilliance of this international coach. What I know about is that when they have brilliant players, it makes them look really good. So I'm not buying into the coach's brilliance when it comes to national teams, when you get 2 days, 3 days, 4 days to prepare a team. What I buy into is you get the best players and you put them in a position to win and they fit your system, you have a great chance to win. So I'm not buying that. Doesn't work for me. Drew Ross is saying, and Drew Ross, Mr. Fortis, how you doing? Here's the question that I have been asking. Would there have been a strike if Donaldson wasn't fired? Drew Ross, you must be a Fortis man. Brilliant question. Brilliant question. I would dare to say no. Why? Because they wouldn't want to disappoint someone who they advocated for. They wouldn't want to undermine the coach who they support. And I don't have notice for a fact, but I would bet, if I'm a betting man, I would bet that his firing has something to do with them withholding their services. And you cannot convince me otherwise. So I have no evidence to substantiate that, but you cannot convince me otherwise. That his firing was not an input into the decision they ultimately made. They have listed a lot of grievances, but if you look through the grievances, they're not material enough for them to withdraw their services. Money, along with the coach, are probably primary factors. And with the JFF, primary factors are the lady who was kicked off the bus, the fact that the girls they have their old coach and got their way, the girls' communication to the public media about, the problems with the JFF. To me, those are the primary triggers, our primary determinants, our primary drivers, I should say, not determinants, as to why we are where we are. Brain Drain saying, if oral Tracy has changed its views, people like winning. Yes, Brain Drain, we all love winning. Even when the means doesn't justify the end, Brain Drain, we still love the winning. People talk about outcome. It's all about outcome. What's the outcome? We all love winning. And we come from a country where we used to winning. At least in sports anyway. So why wouldn't we want to embrace that? People don't want to be associated with losers. Losers not going to get you Nike contracts, Adidas contracts, and whatever contracts you get in life. Or track athletes who run, the ones who win like the Sherry and Sharika and Elaine, they get big contracts because what? They win. And they may have challenges, but they produce on the world stage and they win. So that's a fact, right? And we as supporters, as fans who are behind the team, even though sometimes we don't go to games like we should, but we're behind the teams because we're in these forums talking about them, we want them to win. We want them to give themselves the best chance to win. Even if they don't win, at least we know we put the best team that we have on the field and they play their hearts out with the hope that we get a good outcome. And that hasn't happened. So Boss Thomas says, I have no idea what this is about. Boss says, Hamad is my talk. I am an employee that I am always CC'd on email with my manager and the CEO. Yes, Boss Thomas. Boss Thomas, I agree with you 100%. Dennis's communication to me is around him, the JFF, and its leadership team in their feelings and decided that, you know what? I could bet this is my speculation. Both the girls and JFF don't want to communicate with each other. They don't really want to engage each other. But they figure at some point they have to get together. Now, the JFF could delay that engagement to see the outcome of what transpired, which has been a disaster. Sorry. When you don't make not even the playoff to get to the Gold Cup, we just came from the last 16 of the World Cup. That's literally amazing. And if you hear the commentator last night, and the world is still talking about this, by the way, people. You hear the commentator last night talking about we don't have our full contingent of players. And we don't have it because people can't get in the room and squash out this. And by the way, people, the World Cup has been done for 2 months now. We're in the 3rd month. We still are nowhere. Then he's talking about possible meeting on the 8th. The girls know about a meeting. What in the world? Like, really? One meeting, nobody in 2 months, no calendars can be coordinated. So we can have a meeting. Can you just think about that for a second? And by the way, these are footballers who have a lot of downtime in their life. No matter what I want to tell you. Yes, they train. Yes, they play games. But footballers, the ones who play professionally at least, have time on their hands. That's sometimes why you see things happen because they have time on their hands. And the JF leadership team, even though some of them may have day jobs, they can make the time. But it's not important enough for them to do so. So they don't make the time. Jason Gooden saying Krankie kept 18 of the 23 players were excluded from selection. Well, I have the 5 players not excluded me call up. Well, Jason, what he's saying is that they're college kids, and all of a sudden, these college kids had conflicts. By the way, guys, these college kids had no conflicts before all this transpired. But all of a sudden, those conflicts are so prohibitive that they can't come play a game and go back to school. Or they have exams, or they bucked their toe. I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, these 5 players who are in college, none of them have any time. It's amazing in multiple windows, by the way, people. This is not one window. In multiple windows why they can't come to the games because they have obligations in college. When before, it never stopped them in any other window for any other of the World Cup qualification. The World Cup was played in the summer, but the qualification to the World Cup was not played in the summer. Must be played at a time when they had no conflicts. It's amazing. Really amazing. Tuffy Rudy saying, I agree that the JFL was hoping these girls would win. That way they can say we don't need the other girls. Yes, Tuffy, that's my perspective too. I totally agree with that. Totally. Warren said, these girls are not paid anyway. Well, Warren, that's not what I heard now, Warren. I heard the girls have been paid for a while, by the way. So Warren, we can't say they haven't been paid because we don't have the evidence. In fact, they haven't said that either. They said some girls haven't been paid. And supposedly what's going around is that 9 have been overpaid. So that means quite a bit have been paid. So if 9 have been overpaid, I assume the other girls have been paid. And Dennis said they all have been paid. And neither Bunny nor Rebecca refuted that some have been paid. And in fact, neither Bunny nor Rebecca said they have been paid. So I assume those 2 have been paid. That's what I assume. I may be wrong, but I doubt it, else I would think they would have said so in the interview with Sportsmax. Dusrell is saying, JFF is like a bad man thing. Where do they all, over the years, both man and woman, what the girls have to negotiate with that much? That is why JFF looked down on them. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a look down thing. I think it's an ego thing. That's my view.
Krankie?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You have a caller. You can take a call.
I didn't plan to take any call now, but put the person on anyway.
All right, caller, go ahead.
Caller, I can't hear Mannings, man.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Who's this? Identify yourself.
Krankie, this is Diego. This is Diego. New York, man. The diaspora knows me and the Jamaican people.
Hey, Diego, the last time I was on with you, you beat me now. So then what you have to say?
What you doing, big guy?
I'm good. How you doing?
You know, one thing we do, we express our thing, and it's nothing personal. We just agree or disagree. You know that. To let the people know, I know you personally. We support the same club in New York at one of the clubs in New York together for the last summer gone.
That is true. And that, by the way, that club name is Unisoc. So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Diego.
I heard you make a statement that have Diego puzzled.
Okay.
I heard you said you agree that the JFF is inept and dysfunctional. However, Bonnie Shaw and the Reggae Girls must decide whether they want to play for them or not. Now, that statement, I'll tell you why. Because you seem to be missing a very important thing here. Now, first of all, I want to use the word inept. It's more than inept, because as you know, inept means lack of skill and clumsy. Talking about dishonesty and what the girls want to do, they are fighting for a change. So you saying they should either play or not play, you miss that these girls are fighting for a change, Krankie. And they have a right to fight for a change. Because you have said the organization is dysfunctional. So my argument to you is this: as a fan of football, why would you have a problem with the girls fighting for change? They must either play or not play. That sounds like something that may be coming from a rude out, not from you, Krankie, as a fan.
Right. Now I understand what you're saying. So here's my point. Here's my point on that, which is what I've said tonight is that the girls got tricked to me. So the girls should have played, right? At the same time, fight for their cause. The two are not mutually exclusive. Doesn't mean I can play and fight at the same time. So if you look at the ultimate outcome of this,
so you switch your position then. Just switch. So
no. Go back and listen and watch. No, Diego. We know what I said. Diego, go back and listen to the tape. Go back and listen to the tape. Because I've said a lot and I ranted a lot.
The show today.
I said.
The show today.
No, I said.
I didn't hear the show tonight. I'm just calling you. I didn't hear the show. So
no. My position is this.
Decide whether they're going to play or not.
No. And here's where they come in. Here's where they come in. Meaning, the JFF is always going to be there, right, Diego? They're not going to change. Whether it's Raymond or Ricketts, it don't make a difference. They're all in the same pot, as far as I'm concerned. So we don't have an option when it comes to JFF, correct? From my perspective, right? If that's the case, you have to make a decision whether you want to play or not. Because the administration is not changing. So if you don't want to play for them, you're not going to play for Jamaica.
All right, remember, Krankie, don't preach today, girl. There was a dialogue in there. It's a reasoning, so you have to give me a chance to talk to you, know?
All right, go on, talk. Go ahead.
So the question is then, you're not gonna say, you're saying that you understand the girls fighting for change, and that you're not gonna you take back that statement about they should have whether to play or not.
No. The statements are not mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive statement, Diego. Meaning this: make a decision whether you want to play or not. That's a fact you have to do. But at the same time, you can play. My view is this: you can play and still get your point across. You can play and still fight. You can play and still achieve your outcome even while you're playing. Because what you're giving up is not worth you not playing. What do I mean? If you're playing, Diego, you're in an environment where you have the media at your disposal 24/7 in the windows that you come to play, correct? You can always express the same view you have now about...
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm saying, say play. That means you're telling them to accept the dishonesty. So that's why the best thing now is for a meeting of the minds, and then before they play, the JFF have to meet with them and resolve this issue. You can't say play or not play, because play or not play means they should either accept the dishonesty and the dysfunction or not.
No, because
Diego, statement, and I think Kyle and Tinkat was trying to tell you the same thing.
Diego, here's your view on this. That's the problem that we have, Diego, as a people. is zero-sum game. We use the nuclear bomb as a way of negotiating. That's not a way to negotiate. So you decide not to play, and I say, fine, don't play. Where does that get us? You want to get us? There you go. We're not in the Gold Cup next year. That's where you got us. The situation still has not been resolved. They have not met Dig. That's where he got us. He got us nowhere. Go ahead.
He just puzzled me Krankie, that as a football fan, and unless you have another role that I don't know about, I just know he's a football fan that would say Bonnie Shaw, play or don't play. When Bonnie Shaw have a serious issue with the dysfunction and dishonesty of the JFF. That's all that was puzzling me. So if you clear it up, it's fine.
No. There you go. I appreciate your perspective.
Last thing, Krankie.
Yeah.
One last thing now. You're making some analogy. I see you do it to Kyle and Tiga, because I was enjoying the conversation with Kyle and Tiga, telling you, because I like different perspective, and I like it. But Krankie, you're a corporate man. How can you compare Bank of America, me and you as a Wall Street man, to the JFF Corporation, to compare a security guard to a Bonnie Shaw or to Damien Lewis as workers? It's a different type of relationship. Bonnie Shaw, and they are the products. They are who you make money from. So you have to be careful when you use those analogies. I heard a doorman as an employee for Bank of America to Bonnie Shaw, who is really the product that the JFF need to make their revenue and their money. I'm saying just be careful.
Look, we have different views on this.
All right, Diego.
All right, Diego. Appreciate the call, Diego, by the way. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, man.
But go ahead.
Great work, guys. Great work. And big up Tigat and Kyle. Big up Tigat and Kyle.
I'm sure Kyle will love that, and I'm sure Tigat will love that. We're almost at time, people, because I have to go to my bed by 10 o'clock now. I get up 4:30 in the morning. But I want to keep on saying this, which is, I'm going to take some more comments, actually. But I appreciate Diego call, and Diego's right. I mean, I think I saw Diego in the summer we're at an event together. And look, he has a lot of good points. I think the analogy I use worked for me because even though they're the product, and even though it's a contractual relationship, normally in contractual relationship, you have equal parties. But if one party is the administration, I think they have a little more power than the product, actually. Even though you need the power, you need the product. If you don't have the product, JFF had a product, by the way. Don't get that wrong. They had a product. The product played yesterday. The product doesn't want the product that we think should be on the field, because that product, even though they tried hard, they worked hard, they're patriotic, they did the best job, they weren't good enough to overcome what I consider to be a mediocre Guatemala team. So the JFF had another product. That's part of their problem. If they had no product, it could have been resolved already. Great baller said, thanks, Dan Krankie, I agree. Bonnie Shaw is an incredible player of her game, but she was disingenuous. I saw it, she lied. Look, I'm not going to call anyone a liar. I hate to say that because people sometimes say things, but what she said didn't resonate. I think she pulled back what she said in the interview with Sportsmax. But I'm telling you, if you see her facial expression, if you heard her engage, when Righty said, tell them, and Righty was getting all excited, she doubled down on what she said. She didn't pull back, she doubled down. And she never came back subsequently and said, you know what, I'm going to retract those statements. So as far as I'm concerned, she was not being genuine, frankly. But here is Kyle, who Diego just praised. You lost me. Girls should reach out to the abuser to be abused. Has the abuser showed any sign of changing? Kyle, I'm not sure how much negotiation you have done in your life, but in the corporate environment, frankly, and in life sometimes, you may negotiate with people you don't like, actually. I've known people who detest the room the other person is in, but you would never know that when they're negotiating, especially where money is concerned, especially when both parties need to engage to accomplish a certain objective. You'd be amazed how they engage. You think they're best of friends, and they have distaste for each other. So, yes, it may take some doing to put your ego aside and engage. But, and I said this the other day as an example, in a number of instances where individuals or corporations settle a lawsuit, the normal inclination is, or perspective is, that person who settled was guilty. And maybe half the time more than that, that's not the case. So here's the example, plain example. If I go to trial with you, it costs me 10 million in attorney's fees, right? And it's going to cost the other person probably less because their lawyer may use a contingency fee. But if I settle with you, it costs me 5 million. And by the way, when I settle, especially something that affects my reputation, if I go to trial, all that long window of time, I'm still in the news and be viewed in a negative light, company or person. If I settle with you, I'm settling for half the price, and my name is out the news. My reputation may have been damaged, but the damage is only going to increase if I keep the lawsuit alive. So I settle. So your view may be the company is guilty, so they settle. No, they're cutting their losses. And in life, sometimes you have to cut your losses. That's negotiating. That's being smart. Why would I want to spend 10 million when I can spend 5 million? Who wants to do that? So you ask yourself, the question is, in life, what risk am I taking? What outcome am I trying to achieve? And is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it? And if you're not going to end up in a positive position, why would you do it? So this is the perfect example, Kyle. The JFF may lose some money from this, but they believe they have their respect back, but it acquiesce to the girls. What did the girls gain from this, Kyle? So Kyle, tell me what they gained from this. Explain to me, Kyle, since you're pushing back on this, what did they gain? Because we're still at an impasse. So I can't see one thing the girls have gained from this, except maybe increase their standing with supporters like yourself. I don't know what they've gained. Sorry, can't see it. Hey, God bless. You're thinking commercial. God bless. You're right. You know what? Let me take off the water bottle. Let me take off the. I'm making a lot of noise here. I'm trying to take off the. I'm not trying to advertise anything free on Management channel. As I said, he gave me an hour, and I've gone past my hour. But I'm going to cover it up. That's what Michael Jordan did at the Olympics. He covered up. Maybe it was the Adidas brand because it was Nike. So I'm gonna cover it up when I drink my water. But good catch. God bless. I see you're into the commercial business. So I say, Krankie need to talk to Claudia. She was spitting fire today. What was she spitting fire about? I'm curious. Claudia, how you doing? By the way, Claudia's a good person. She always have good comments. So I'll be curious what she was spitting fire about. Webster says, frustration can make you make some drastic statements. Bunny was caught in the excitement of the performance at the time. Yeah, Warren, you may be right about that. You may be right. But the responsible thing to have done, Warren, is to amend this statement to say what you meant versus let it linger. Because the first time I heard her retract the statement, or I would say retract, amend the statement, because it was a total retraction, with a Sportsback interview. Whether she did it subsequent to that, before I saw it, I didn't see it. It was the first time I'm hearing that. And I know I heard she got contacted by, maybe it was Bob Zagrange from Minister of Sports, but the government, somebody used the government label, and I'm not sure who the government, contacted her about that statement, which suggests they interpreted the statement the same way that most of us did, except for a few people, one who I mentioned earlier in the program. Let me see any other comments here. So Dusra says, bro, it would have been just the same. Look how many months they have not been paid. You can say that because you're not in their shoes. No, I'm not in their shoes. No, I don't have their frustration. But my hope would be, because when you're in the middle of something, when you're upset, it's hard to pull yourself out of the situation and see the big picture. But my hope they would have advisors who is laying down to them, basically, the benefits and the detriments to their decision making. and weighing it to say, you know what are we losing? What are we gaining? And should we make the right decision that benefits us net? Does it make sense you make a decision where you just lose? And even though you say you're doing it it's a generational decision, so you want people to come after you, you're making sacrifices on yourself to support those. Don't agree with that notion, right? People do that in time. They did that in baseball way back when the African-American player decided they wanted free agency and he took a lawsuit. We saw with the NCAA situation, that's why kids now get paid in college, because they sued on behalf of the players who were deemed to be making money on behalf of the colleges and not getting the benefits of it, except a scholarship. And now those players are getting paid. So people make sacrifices. But those players who were suing the NCAA still played. They played for their whole tenure. So they benefited from going to school, but sued on the back end to make some money at the end of the day. And to have those who come behind them make some money. So they got their college scholarship. They think they should have gotten more versus compensation because the colleges are making a lot of money or precluded them from making money. But they went to school and got their degree or whatever they did and competed. They didn't just say I'm boycotting the school. Not the best analogy, by the way. But at the end of the day, I always believe in a win-win situation. If I'm just going to lose and I have nothing to show for my losing, then I'm not into that. Right? If I'm going to negotiate and I have nothing to show at the end of the day, then what's the use? Doesn't make sense. I'm not sure what it's mean, Gunners boss. Man City must go to the chain of command stand. Is that Dennis? Not sure what that entails. I'll open up Jura's comment. I think he's talking to Kyle about the meaning of the word abuse. Yeah, we're using that term loosely in the abusive sense, right? It may be that you think you're not being treated fairly in terms of from a contractual standpoint, from a logistical standpoint, you think you're not being supported. Because I think what the girl says, then I'm gonna paraphrase this, they want to be given the best chance to win, which sometimes means they want all the amenities that they're used to, and sometimes that can be afforded by developing countries, right? I can't afford to give you everything you get at Man City or at Tottenham, or what club you play for, but at a minimum, I should at least have a conversation with you to walk through what I can do and how we can work together to help you maximize your performance. And the girl said, you know what, they just want to know who the trainer was, the doctor was, so they can tell their people, so they can do GPS check and how much they ran. Girls, I'm sorry, girls, I'm not buying all of that. Here's my view. You want to influence decisions. And the JFF is saying you can't influence decisions. That's part of the impasse from where I sit as an independent, objective observer. And by the way, people, I don't take sides in this matter. I'm a fan. I just want outcome that is going to satisfy me, which is, you know what? We put the best team on the field, and that best team gives us the best chance to win. I don't care about XYZ. I don't have any influence, association, relationship with the JFF to support the JFF. Neither do I have that with the girls to support the girls. What I want is those two bodies to convene, come to some kind of a agreement, put their troubles behind them, and go out and play on behalf of the country. I am not parochial in this. I don't have a view on either side about who is right and who is wrong in a sense, meaning I draw my conclusions about facts and circumstances, which may or may not be right, just like what you're doing. But some people take sides. I'm going to call a name. Kyle takes, I'm beating you now, Kyle. And I don't like to beat people. I'm going to call you out because you call me out all the time. You take a side, but you don't want to hear anything from the other side. And guys, in life, even if somebody's wrong, you should still listen to them. Doesn't mean they're wrong about everything, right? There may be aspects of what they're saying which makes sense, which may be right. Doesn't mean they're wrong about everything. They could be wrong about some things, or they could be wrong most times. But sometimes what they say in Jamaica picks sense out of nonsense. I'm not sure we do that enough. So, yeah. What is it saying? Ray Ball said Raymond can't even join two enough words to make sense presenting both team one leadership. I'm not going to touch that Ray Baller. I'm not going to touch on someone's intellect but my whole thing with Raymond is I did talk to Raymond on a coach's desk. I did ask him what he's accomplished in his tenure, both at the president of the Parish Association that he was involved with and the JFF. And he tells me he's involved with the competition. He runs the sort of, I guess, when you have games, the sort of competition aspect of the JFF. But I must admit, I didn't walk away feeling comfortable because he couldn't tell me one accomplishment he has achieved in his 30 plus years in football or his 18 years as vice president in the JFF. And I don't want to hear this thing people about, oh, well, I wasn't the one in charge. I can tell you I'm not in charge of my company. I can point out 10, 15 things I've done in my 9 years where I work now. Because every year, you know what you do? Here's how you manage your career, people. Those who want to listen to me, I'm not lecturing you. You may have a 5 or 10 year plan. But in that 5 or 10 year plan, in that 5 year, you have an annual plan. In that annual plan, you may have a quarterly plan. In a quarterly plan, you have weekly check-in. You're checking to see how you're progressing towards your goal. You ask, you volunteer, you ask for assignments to demonstrate your capabilities. And you may have a mentor or people you know with certain skill sets or people you admire who may help you formulate what you want to do, put it together, execute against it. So you keep checking off. 1 quarter, I've done this, I've done that. How does that align with my goal I'm trying to achieve? You're doing that quarter after quarter, year after year. Okay, if you're in a company, you want to be the president, well, how do I be the president? You start working backwards to get there. So don't tell me you've been in an organization for 18 years as vice president and you're precluded from achieving something or accomplishment because you're not the president. Nonsense. Sorry, don't buy it. How are you going to get to the president if you haven't done anything to demonstrate they should be president? Right? If you want to be president of an organization, in any company, any corporate company, you know what? Some companies will have 2 or 3 people they have up for it. And they fight out the position. But during that period to get to be in those 3 people to get the role, they have a long list of accomplishment to substantiate why they should be considered for the role. Apart from surrounding himself with a bunch of people who may have big portfolios and big resumes, he's going to be the one leading. And we don't want to have silent leadership like Ricketts does. Because people, in this entire saga with the girls, I haven't heard Ricketts come out and say a lot about this. Where is Ricketts? As the president, don't you step in and say, let's put this nonsense to bed. Let's engage with the girls and get this done, guys. Dennis, Speed, all you guys, where are we on this? Have we paid them? What are the grievances? Have we checked those grievances? What's the inventory of grievances? Do we walk through them? Do these grievances make sense? How do we address these grievances? Let's work through a plan and let's engage with them. Silent president. I don't think Raymond's going to be indifferent. Sorry. I don't see it. So, please, what? Hey, Brandon, I know Calabar people do well, but I need some money, Brandon. I have some charitable event, you know. Like Rossi's need some money, Brandon. Are you in the Calabar? But I'm sure you support them. Rossi's is collecting funds to build some facility for the athletes. So I think you should contribute some of this money. We appreciate, by the way, we appreciate the donation to the channel. The channel can't work by just water alone or time alone. But, and you've been very generous, Benji, by the way, but contribute to Rushie's. I'm putting a plug for Rushie's tonight, people. If you have some extra funds, please contribute to the Russia Foundation. They need the funding. What else is here that I want to talk about? Again, let's throw out all the journalistic integrity and dive into reckless speculation. Well, you know, Gunner's boss, that's what happens, you know. When you don't get any information to inform your view, you're going to speculate. But sometimes speculation is not that far off now. And sometimes you have information, Gunner's boss, but you manage what you say and how you say it and how you present it. And you let people make decisions based on all the information available at their disposal that they use in their assessment process. So it doesn't mean that because you're speculating, you may be far off from what the actual truth is. Trey Moon is saying, additionally, None of us, players, fans, can change the JFF. Only associate members can, through an election, and just look at the candidates that are available. We have to be level-headed. Yeah, Trey Moon. I mean, as I said before, and I've said this numerous times, it's like the right hand is in power, and the left hand say, I want power. That's not even the right analogy, because the one of the finger on the right hand is part of the power structure, and decide to branch off and maybe join the left hand and say, you know what? I want to run things myself. I'm tired of being second in charge. But it's the same hand. It's just a part of the hand. It's not changing. I don't see it changing. It's never going to change. At least not in this window. Here's my hope is that some of the personnel in Jamaica who have done really well financially, they have done well in with a corporate or other environment, whether it's for IS or others, get involved in the football and maybe put together a team, not inclusive of those who are in the JFF today, to go figure out how to run and maybe take over the football. The only problem we have there is you have to go back to FIFA and get the process changed about who can vote. Too much of the voting power is concentrated in the parishes, and the parishes are too aligned and too conflicted with our administration. So you'll never get a situation where the parties who are voting are not conflicted. Now, people are going to try to influence the voters, which they should. But these parishes, well, these presidents have been there forever, and they align with the administration. And they promise them things. That's what politicians do. They promise to give positions. They promise whatever else. So you're gonna vote for who supports you, right? That's how politics work, and that's what we're seeing. Just look at how politics work in Jamaica and think about the JFF situation and election just being an aspect of that. I don't think that's changing. So you need to come up with a different voting mechanism, which is we have 50-something now. Votes can be cast. Maybe you get that to 200. So therefore, the parishes have less influence about who run the association. Otherwise, it's not going to change. So then if it's 52 people or 54 people, you only have to convince 30 or less and you're good. And I'm sure most of those votes sit in the parishes. That's not working. Does work for me. Let me see if there are any other comments here. I don't want to miss any good comments here. Champ, they say, Krankie, you're wrong. We know what women are going to bring. So you are see the two candidates at the CM. Hey, Champ Deck, let me say this. We know what corner you're in. That's all I'll say about that. I can tell what corner people are in a lot of time by their statements, right? I know what corner they sit in. I'm telling you, as someone who was viewing this from afar, who has no stake in the game, who has talked to Raymond in terms of an interview, who have seen Ricketts functioning for a long time, as them say at Jamaica, them no different. CM people are different clothes. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. Sorry, champ. Mr. Deck, I don't see what you're saying. Don't agree with you. Rob's been saying boycotting actually killed the momentum women football had in the country. Think about it, Bunny was nominated for Female Athlete of the Year in Jamaica. That's how we view women's football. Yeah, look, I mean, women's football was not prominent for a long while. And frankly, Sidel has to be given a lot of kudos, a lot of flowers, a lot of support for what she did in really working to bring the women's football to the forefront, which we all appreciate. It still doesn't get the recognition it deserved, but the girl did themselves a great service by winning on the field and by making us all proud when they went to Australia. But it's my view they negated some of that by deciding not to negotiate while playing. As I said earlier in the program, it's a year plus going forward. So in 2024, it's my understanding, and I could be corrected on this, they will play no competitive matches. They may play friendlies, but do we really care about friendlies that much? No, we don't. Nobody spends a lot of time on friendlies. right? Jamaica played Guatemala as a friendly. Nobody cared friendlies. What we cared about was the Nations League and how we did. What we cared about is Copa America next year. What we'd have cared about is the female in the Gold Cup next year. How much I probably would have gone to all the games, frankly. We would all be sitting here doing watch along, all getting excited, all talking about the players, the new players coming in, the current players we have, how they're doing, what our chances are, how we're going to do. What are we going to talk about now? The US team, the Canada team, maybe Guatemala. We don't have anything to talk about. We don't have anything to look forward to when it comes to the women's team. They're going to be at home watching the Gold Cup. So how does that benefit them when they're home watching the Gold Cup? Please explain that to me. How are they benefit from being at home watching the Gold Cup? I don't see the benefit. Are they making any money being at home watching the Gold Cup? Maybe they'll get the summer off and recuperate, because maybe they won't have the physio that they wanted, but I don't see where they benefit. Sorry. That's what I said. Krankie, what would the girls use to negotiate with this? Have been going on some time now. The players took a stand. Yes, it hurts. Here's what's interesting, Dusra. The men's team took a stand a while back, right? But they did it when it was a friendly game. Now, yes, the JFF acquiesced to some, but it was a friendly game. So it wasn't hurting them in any way, shape, or form. It probably was a match fee and a per diem, which they probably wasn't getting anyway. They didn't do it during the Gold Cup. They didn't do it during World Cup qualifiers, even though they were having a lot of problems. They didn't boycott the World Cup qualifiers when they went overseas and couldn't get back to destination, luggage not coming back. They didn't do that. They were smart enough to that. That wasn't going to have them achieve their objective. That's not going to help them get a contract or put money in their pockets or get notoriety or improve their brand. They negotiated when it did. They boycotted when it didn't matter. The girls, the first, think about this. Digest this for a second. The first CONCACAF Gold Cup for women, where our position, if we had the best team, we would have qualified, no doubt in my mind. You know, nothing is guaranteed in life. We would have qualified, and now where are the girls going to be? Just answer that question. You will say, Krankie, he will not understand what you're saying. He's like, Carl, he's unwilling to understand your point of view. Yeah, I understand that. But I'm trying to convince people to think not just based on what you're passionate about, but think about it from the other side also. You know what I do in life a lot of times? Actually, I probably play devil's advocate with myself because I want to make my argument as strong as possible. So here's what I do. I will want to do something or make a decision, but I'll critique my decision to figure out, can my decision or what I want to do stand up to scrutiny? Right? If you challenge yourself, people call that, if you can have what we call effective challenge, you'd be surprised how your decision making improve. Versus just going along with the first thing that comes to mind, especially when your decision is emotive. If it's based on emotion, if you can't disconnect yourself from the emotion and make a thoughtful, balanced, well-assessed decision, then you'll never make the best decision. Because most times people make decisions based on emotion, it's not the best decision. Because you're not thinking straight, as they say. So, I don't think the girls won in this situation. Nobody won, frankly. But on a net loss basis, I don't think the girls had any wins. I think the JFF got to see some new players. And they almost won really well, because if we didn't make some defensive mistakes in the Panama game and the Guatemala game, these girls were qualified for the Gold Cup. And you know what happened? The negotiating position for the World Cup players would have been even worse than it is today. In fact, it's not great today. It would have been worse, because the JFF would have said, we don't really need you. And frankly, we won't bring back some of you because you know what? These girls would do hard work and qualify. So we're going to bring in the team who we want, and we'll just take a few of you. And some of you who give a lot of trouble, we don't want you on the team. A little harder to do that now, because we have shown that even though Dennis was talking about and pushed back on me about we have 40-something players and there's no second team or whatever you want to call it. And I'm not trying to denigrate anybody by calling second team. But frankly, we had 23 players, and most of these girls, or all of them, didn't go to the World Cup. So they couldn't be part of that, what we call, if you want to call it 23 the first team, they weren't part of the first team. But I've said I want to give them kudos because they played hard, they tried, and for a few defensive mistakes, which we probably shouldn't have made, they would have qualified, frankly. At least make the next round, actually. So I have 5 minutes left. Right? I have 5 minutes left. So I'm gonna try to pull up the best comment here. It's 9:30. I go to bed at 10. So let's see if there's any comment here that I should pull up. I see Brain here. Can't be too aggressive in negotiation room. Soft skills, and delivery. Hey, Brain, Brain, I do respect your brain, but I've never heard you call in or join, even not showing your face, right? Because I don't know if you think that there's people gonna. And I don't think you're wanted, because normally these people who are wanted don't want to show their face, Brain. So we would love to have you, Brain. Seriously, I would love to have a discussion with you in a public forum, because you do have some comments which they do resonate, make a lot of sense. And I think you can probably add more value if you just weren't trying to joke a lot of times, actually. Because you have a lot of comments which people don't seem to think about or reflect on, but make a ton of sense. What else is here? I have 4 minutes left, people. And Mr. Stennett, if you're around, I don't know how to close these things out, and make sure your advertisers get their money's worth. So at 9:35, you need to come back in wherever you are if you're watching the program, so you can close out the show for me, because I'm atrocious with this. Art said, Krankie, noticed that Sportsback chopped the interview when she mixed it up herself. Yeah, I think if you listen, it was interesting in Sportsback interview with Bunny and Rebecca, where Ricardo asked a question about money, and she said they weren't paid from February for match fees and per diem. She never said World Cup bonus initially, which I thought was interesting, because that was most of the money. But then subsequently, she said that some weren't paid. And I find that really interesting. I don't think it was a misspeak, but it could be, who knows? Because she must have gotten paid, at least the World Cup money. And I don't know. Here's what's strange to me, everyone. And Dennis said this, and he's right. If this has been 2 months in the running, I don't know exactly when the money was paid, but it seemed to be a while ago, and you haven't gotten paid, why wouldn't you reach out to say, I haven't gotten paid? That makes no sense to me, especially when your compadre, when your teammates have gotten paid. Kyle, have you thought about that, Kyle? Because I know you're 100% on the girl side. So Kyle, if you were part of the World Cup squad that went to Australia, I'm part of the squad with you, Kyle, and I got paid, and I tell you I got paid, wouldn't you reach out to the JFF and say, why haven't got my money? I wouldn't be looking to go to no fifth pro. And in fact, Dennis said they haven't heard from anyone, so they didn't go to fifth pro. Wouldn't you reach out and say, where's my money? Why haven't I gotten paid? Or you don't need the money? And I'm sure the girls, whether they need it or what, would want to get paid. That to me doesn't make any sense, I would admit. Because I know no matter how much money I have, if I haven't gotten paid, and management did the calculation yesterday, it's probably net about $60,000 from what I calculated. But then he said the 35 was after taxes, and there was other monies. Why wouldn't I reach out to get my money? I still don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. That needs to be explained, actually. Why would anybody who is part of the World Cup contingent, where we heard that a number of players got overpaid, not even paid, overpaid, and I haven't gotten paid, I would be run to the JFF. I'll be flying down to the JFF office if I'm overseas to get my money. Because time is money. So I'm not sure why that's the case. That doesn't make any sense to me. So something is amiss in that. And by the way, people, I'm not saying anyone is lying, so don't misquote me. What I'm saying is that logically, it doesn't make sense, frankly. If you haven't gotten paid, why you wouldn't reach out either by your representative and or directly with the JFF, whether or not you want to engage with them, because it's not about engaging with them, whether you like them or not, you detest them or not. It's about you getting your compensation. And if you haven't got your World Cup bonus, why you haven't gotten paid? And here's another question, actually. If you haven't gotten your World Cup bonus, and I'm going over my time, I said I was going to go over it. Why would you reach out to the media and say I haven't gotten paid? A lot of people in the media are your friend. You spoke to Sportmax 2 months after the fact. Why would you reach out and say you haven't gotten paid? It's not logical. Okay, Jason said, Krankie, you don't understand the professional football, then if you're not buying that. The clubs want to exchange the info with the team. Hey, Jason, you're talking about the whole thing with GPS. I'm not saying that's not the case. But the question that should have been asked is, JFF, we need certain information. You know we need it. You're doing it for the men's team, frankly. We want to make sure you connect with the people at our organization to make sure this information is provided to them. Please do so. Here's the name of the people at my organization, right? The girls said they want this information, and I'm telling you, Jason Gunnar. Jason, here's the question I ask for you. When you have a disagreement with someone and you don't want to engage with them, don't you think that you find, or you want your way certain things to be done? You want to look the best in the public light that you can about what your requests are. I've said this before, and I'm no different. If I have a dispute with someone, I'm putting myself in the best light. And when I'm talking about my engagement with them, even if my engagement wasn't the best, I'm not going to say I was loud. I'm going to say, here's what I said. Doesn't mean I'm lying. So I said, you know what? You didn't give me this money, but I may have been expressing myself in a certain way to get that money. But I'll just say I requested the money from the person. It doesn't mean I'm lying because I requested it. But how I engage may not have been appropriate. But I probably won't put myself in that light if it's going to be the public domain. And we sometimes seem to fail to realize that. So I'm going to put the best foot forward to the public to make me look good. Doesn't mean I have to be lying to try to do so. And I think sometimes we forget that. So I'm almost at the end. I have 1 minute left. Let me see if there's anything else here that jumps out at me. And there are a lot of comments here. And by the way, before I go, people, I do appreciate you coming on. As I said before, I came home this evening. I bought this nice new computer. I was all excited about setting it up and transferring all my files. And it looked beautiful. I just took out the wrapper. But I was so perturbed coming home on the bus that I said I have to come and vent. So I'll have to do that tomorrow. And I'm perturbed that I'm not doing it tonight. Because you know when you get a new toy, you want to try out the toy. But I had to come on and vent because I was just thinking about the whole situation. And I was so frustrated that I had to come vent with you. And thank you for letting me vent, for expressing myself. And just importantly, thank you for all your comments. If you don't like what I say, you don't have to hit the like button. If you like some of it, hit the like button. But if you hate it, you don't have to hit the like button. But if you like some of it, you can hit the like button. But one thing I'm going to leave you with in life, and this evening is this. Always in life, try to be objective. Always try to get two sides to the story, or three sides. The third side is your interpretation of what transpired. Because when you hear from both parties, it's never totally transparent. It's always managed. Because as I said before, we always want to say, make ourselves look good. And I will apologize on behalf of everyone that I'm sorry that we're not going to watch football next year with the girls. I'm sorry. I'm disappointed. I am frustrated. But my hope is that lessons will be learned from this and people will do better going forward. And my comment to the reggae ladies is this. I hate the term girl. The reggae ladies is this. You have to always think about what's in your best interest. And I know your decision you made, you think was in their best interest because you have to stand up against what you deem to be unfairness. You have to stand up for your rights. You have to stand up to the authority which you don't think was operating appropriately. But you should ask yourself, and you want to make sure those who come behind you don't have your experiences, but you always have to ask yourself, did I achieve my objective? Was the cost worth it? Was the benefit on a net basis where I want it to be? And if your answer is no, you should revisit how you approach the situation. For the JFF, same question. Have you achieved your objective? You replaced the girls. We didn't qualify for the Gold Cup. You lost a lot of money. You didn't lose any reputational situation because your reputation is not good anyway. And even though we appreciate you coming to talk to us because you don't have to. We appreciate you talking to us in these forums. You don't have to. And a lot of football federations don't necessarily do that. especially given YouTube is a new media. We appreciate it, but you have to do better. You're not helping yourself by being stubborn. You're not helping yourself by being arrogant. You're not helping yourself by being cute in how you communicate. You're not helping yourself by not being as transparent as you can be. You're not helping yourself by saying, oh, it's my way or the highway. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping the girl. You're not helping to ameliorate the situation. Or you're being viewed as being stubborn, unprofessional, inept, incompetent, and an organization that people don't want to deal with. And that cannot be good for anybody. So my suggestion is to Dennis, to Speed, to Ricketts, all those who are members of the JFF, that going forward, you also think about net benefit when you make decisions. I'm not sure you fully assess this. Now, you may gain more power by standing up for what you believe in, but I'm not sure on a net basis you come out better. You may have looked like the bigger person in the room if you negotiated really well. You could have decided not to select some of the girls to come to the team, or you may even think are troublemakers. But you haven't achieved your objective of getting Jamaica to be the Gold Cup next year, when it's the inaugural Gold Cup for women. And some people believe, by the way, that you want to kill the women's program and that you don't care because the men's team is doing really well. That's where you want your focus to be. And that can be good. The women deserve better in terms of what they have done, what they have accomplished, how they have helped us. And frankly, they've been more valuable than you are. I hate to say it, but they have been. Because how we get from our trouble, not talk about no peer trouble, peer crosses, as them say in Jamaica. And if we done the nonsense, JFF. So everyone, thanks again. Hope you have a great night. But it's Travis, Duckland, Tria Moon, Wien, Kyle, Champ Deck, my Fortis brothers, Freddie, my favorite commenter, Brain Drain, or my nemesis, I should call it, Brain Drain, Tria Moon, Alano. Thanks. And truly appreciate you being here. Really welcome you having me in your living room, your dining room, you're on the bus, you're driving. It's been a good little journey. I got off my chest what I want to get off my chest, and I appreciate you being here. All right? God bless and Sir Krankie, what effect does this have on Adidas contract? I'm not sure it affects the Adidas contract, God bless, but it's another question too. And maybe we can get more intelligence on that and come back to you with that. Maybe that we should do that because I think it's important. And by the way, people want to say something because you know what? I don't want to get management in trouble. I am going to have a YouTube channel starting next year, not January. I'm doing some personal things that I want to get done, but I'm going to do it in this late first quarter, early second quarter, because I have a lot to get off my chest. I like to talk to the public in general. I have a lot to talk about. I want to be able to have a phone call come in, email come in, different communication mode to engage with you. Because I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about, not just sports, by the way, a lot of social stuff, which bugs what out of me that I want to talk about. Because I believe that ways of people need to change. I don't know if it's innate or what, but we have something in our disposition as people where we believe that respect is like water. And if we think we're disrespected, that's it, you're done. And I think we have to really rethink some of that mindset, actually. So, again, thanks. Management, are you around? Let me know. Because I need to sign off. And I need you to sign off with your advertisers. Unless you don't want me to do that, because I'm going to click out. I am challenged with that. So, Mr. Mannings, hope they don't cancel your program. Hope they don't cancel your channel,
No, man. Yeah, man. I just returned, but I see. I put up a comment by Trey Moon saying that you must have the Krankie hour every.
No, we don't need Krankie hour every week. We have 1 week.
The Krankie hour Krankie hour and a half.
It's supposed to be an hour, right?
Yeah,
and I ran over.
Man is going to be 1 hour. But very good show, good perspective,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me, Mannings, man. As I said before, people, all these comments are solely Crankies, not Manningsman, not I Am Sure Sport, and not Omar Stennett. I want to make sure that's clear. We didn't talk about what I texted him and say, I want to come on and talk for an hour. He said, what do you want to talk about? I said, the impasse. He said, okay. So I appreciate it, Manningsman.
Yeah, man. Every time. I mean, and that's it. That is what it is about. Just giving people perspective. That's what it's about. And then you form your own opinion. Krankie sharing a perspective don't mean that you have to believe it, you have to take it, you have to go on to it. But big up to everyone. As usual, listen, tomorrow, one of the biggest days in football, the big team Arsenal is out again, Krankie. So,
yeah, I didn't want to talk about anything, but I didn't just want to talk about the JFF. I didn't talk about election. I didn't talk about EPL. They come in the conversation as examples.
You know what would be interesting, Krankie? To have you there where you are, and Claudine, who called in today, on the other side of the screen. That would be...
Wait, Claudine called into the program? Was she on screen or just phone?
No, she called in on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she laid out the law. You understand me? As it relates to the female. I don't know if you heard the call.
No, I didn't hear it all. No. So, I was working and I tune in sometimes, right? Depends if I'm,
Yeah.
I was working, so I didn't have a chance to tune into the whole program.
The next time Crankies, you need to call him and share those perspectives that you shared today.
I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Claudine, it's always great having you. You've been a long time commenter on this channel, and subscribe to the channel. So appreciate it.
Yeah, man. But bless up to everyone as usual. Thanks. So, listen, let Krankie feel good. He loves it, the likes, the shares, the subscriptions. So do that for him, right? You understand me? But I am Manningsman. That's Krankie. It was the Krankie hour plus an additional bonus 37 minutes. and hey, the people say that Coach's Desk just tune in, but they're saying that he needs to remove the desk from his name. So we're going to call him Coach's TV. Big up Coach's TV, you don't know. I'm on this one. This is
all right, Minzy.
Yeah, man, as usual, we say we are over and we are out of here.
Yo, watch about dog, SK New heard this. The body out there, Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocho-Race, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like, yeah. Someone on for the food from we young, from we day, you need height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.